BabyGym is supported by various scientific theories and principles. The first theory that applies is the information processing theory. That says for a person to be able to move forward in life, you need input that is processed, and then you produce an output. Input is through your senses, processing occurs in the brain, and your output is always executed through muscles. So the interplay between your senses, your brain, and your muscles, the basis of the information processing theory and the basis of BabyGym. Overlapping with that is the Triune Brain Theory. The Triune Brain Theory says physical development preempts all other development, emotional, social, and intellectual. So at the basis of all development is physical development. Let's overlap the information processing theory. That means physical means your senses talking to your brain and your brain talking to your muscles. What prompts the development of the information, the processing of information through the brain? It's a primitive reflex system. So each of the primitive reflexes in sequence stimulate the senses and corresponding physical movements to enable the brain to get hardwired in a sequential manner from the most simple sense, which is your sense of touch, to the most complicated sense, which is your sense of sight. And with that, associated with that, is complicated movements. We don't think about it, but the brain can't see, only the eyes can. The brain can't smell, only the nose can. The brain can't touch, only the skin can. So the brain is very vulnerable to sensory input or a lack or an overdose of sensory input. So your senses create a wide awake brain, can create an overstimulated brain, and that's why we need the development of a filtering system in the brain. So, and that's where sensory integration comes in. So sensory integration is nature's natural way of filtering information so the brain doesn't get overwhelmed, or as Jean Eyre says, that the sensory information doesn't create a traffic jam in the brain. But the brain, as wonderful as it is, cannot act. The brain can only think. Only muscles can act. And that's why the brain needs the development of your muscles to become exquisitely tuned to execute whatever the brain is perceiving. So if the brain is saying, open the door, the hand must be able to respond immediately. And it's fascinating if you watch Little Baby, how long it takes for that little one to perceive, to process, and to act. And it's typically displayed when you ask a baby to wave goodbye. How many times you need to prompt that baby, or how long it takes before that baby responds. It's not because the baby is dumb or slow or dense or anything like that. The pathways are still weak. And that's why we need repetition to strengthen pathways. So those pathways, once strengthened, the brain says, it seems like this pathway is going to be utilized often. Let's myelinate it. The swan cells go over into action. Myelination takes place. And what happens? The speed is improved of any action. And that's where skill comes in. So skilled movement is the result of myelinated pathways that's been formed over time due to repetition or high intensity experiences.